Hi everyone, I'm Lauren, and today I want to be doing my June wrap-up. Hopefully this will be the last wrap-up that I do in a month batch. I want to try doing weekly wrap-ups or bi-weekly sometimes wrap-ups instead, just because sometimes these get a little bit too long for my liking, because I tend to read over 10 books in a month. So June was kind of weird because I moved in like the later part of the month. So in the beginning of June was just kind of rushing around getting things packed and not really a lot of time for reading. And so everything that I've read in June was read, I think the earliest was the 22nd of June. So I only ended up reading 6 books in June, which is not very much for me. But hey, we do have some books to talk about, so let's just talk about them. June was also weird in that I didn't really read that many physical books, and I read quite a few comics, more than I normally do. So yeah, let's just get started with the first one. The first one I read was The Tea Dragon Society by Katie O'Neill. This is a short comic graphic novel. I never know which word to use. And it is about these tea dragons that you care for, and you can harvest their, like, they grow tea on their backs and you can harvest them, make tea, and you can share your memories with other people if they drink that tea. And it's just a cute little fluffy thing. It's only 72 pages long according to Goodreads, so it's really, really short. Doesn't really have a deep of plot or anything like that. And I thought it was fine. I would have preferred a little bit more substance to it, but I mean, it was sweet and cute for what it was. And the art was really, really nice. I did really like the art. Next one I read was Ascendance of a Bookworm Part 2, Volume 4 by Mia Kazuki. This is the 7th volume in the Ascendance of a Bookworm series. So yeah, I do quite like this series, and this volume is no exception. In fact, I think it's a highlight in the series so far because it closes off the second arc, Part 2, I guess. And I can't really go too much into it because it's the 7th volume, but the main character, Mine, is getting into a lot of trouble with the nobles in this one, and she has to make some very big sacrifices in here, and it's just kind of heart-wrenching a little bit, and just, I feel so bad for her, but yeah, I just love it so much. And I'm very, very excited for the next volume, which will start the 3rd part in the series. The next one is quite a popular book on BookTube. That is The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson, the first book in the Stormlight Archive series. If you asked me to give you a plot synopsis, it's not an easy one to give a plot synopsis for, because there's not really a cohesive plot, I guess. A central plot is probably a better word. Yeah, it's in a fantasy world, and it follows a few different characters, like a few main characters, and it has a few POVs of some other random ones. And they each have their own little problems, and they're getting hints of a bigger thing, but in this volume, nobody really gets anything done for the big bad that might be coming up, maybe? So it's a very slow book. It took me a long time to really get into this book. I got halfway through and, I wouldn't say I was bored, but there wasn't a lot that was really interesting me up until the halfway point, and then the halfway point hit, and then finally it started to pick up. Part of the reason why is that why it was hard for me to enjoy until the halfway point is just it's so slow. I get that it's a 10-book series, or it's going to be a 10-book series apparently, but it's just like, can we have something going on? And some of the POVs in here are just more focused on the politics than I would like. I don't tend to like politics that much. So the main POVs are Kaladin, Shallan, Dalinar, I think, and who's the other guy? Adolin? I mix up the names all the time, so I'm sorry if I butcher any of those. Kaladin is a slave for pretty much the whole book, and everything sucks for him. That is most of his POV, but I mean, at least he's trying to escape, and so he's doing interesting things regarding that and trying to make his life less sucky. So at least there's that. Dalinar and Adolin, I really didn't like their POVs. They were my least favorite POVs just because they were focused so much on politics, and neither of them had much of anything that they were going for. Like, they're aiming for, I guess. They didn't have much of a goal that they were going for. Dalinar has these visions, and so he's getting troubled by them, and like, I don't know if I'm actually a good warrior guy, and I'm like, I don't care, just get over it. For me, I don't know. And Adolin doesn't have any issues that he's working with other than, so Dalinar is his dad, and so he goes like, oh, you should do something, Dalinar, be badass, you're moping around for no reason. And that's all his POV basically was, and so I was bored with his. Shallan was the only one that I was super, super invested with. Pretty much every chapter of hers. She is trying to be the ward, or she's trying to get Yasna as her mentor. I don't remember if Yasna's like a princess or what she is technically, but Yasna's a really smart, scholarly type person, and Shallan is also pretty focused heavily on scholarly pursuits, mostly nature and things, and she also draws, and so I'm like, yay. And she's trying to do this because she wants to get something of Yasna's that will help her kingdom out. And so it's like, ooh, is Yasna gonna figure that out? And like, so Shallan has a goal in mind, and that's not the case for a lot of the other POVs. I still liked enough of it where I gave it a 4-star, but that is definitely probably a high 3-star more than it really is a solid 4. If a lot of the politics were cut shorter or taken out completely, then I think maybe I would have been more like, yeah, this is a 4, or maybe even a 5-star to round it up. I hear the one after this, I think it's Words of Radiance. I don't remember. The one after this, I hear it's a lot more action-y, so I'm looking forward to that, and I hope that's the case. And I hear that there's more Shallan as well, which I want more Shallan, so I hope that's the case as well, because there wasn't enough Shallan in here. It was mostly Dalinar and Kaladin, or whatever their names are. I am going to read Warbreaker before reading Words of Radiance, though, just because I hear that there's a connection there, and that connection will enhance my reading of Words of Radiance. So I do want to read Warbreaker first, which is a lot shorter, so hopefully that goes by faster, maybe, as well. I mean, it takes me 8 days, so it shouldn't take me too crazy long. So then I read two graphic novels that I borrowed off of Hoopla. The first one I read was A Gift for a Ghost by Borja Gonzalez. I think the alternate title is like Black Holes or something like that. This one is weird. It has some really nice, intricate art, but it's such a confusing story. It has these two POVs, and they're in 2 different times, and like there's some connection or something, and I don't know what the ghost thing is about, and there's a magical lake, and I don't know what happened. It just kind of jumped around between these 2 POVs and didn't really bother to explain anything. Maybe there's some hidden messages or themes somewhere, but I sure didn't get it. Not at all. Maybe it was like out of order and you're supposed to piece it together what order it goes. I don't know. Like, the art was nice, though, and yeah, I didn't like it that much. The other graphic novel that I read right after that was How to Be Happy by Eleanor Davis. This is a collection of short comics compiled together, and they all kind of have a central theme of finding happiness or what that means and that kind of thing. This is not a guide on how to find happiness yourself. The author explicitly says that is not. This is another case of the art was really cool and interesting. They had a lot of different styles in here, and they were all just kind of interesting. They're not, and like colorful for the most part, I think. The problem with this one is that I guess they were also kind of weird. I didn't really like most of the stories in here. Some of them, I almost was liking them, like I was getting into it, kind of, but then it cut short, and it kind of cut out the message of it, almost. Like, it feels like it's gonna have a message, and then it cuts it off. Like it almost felt like there should be at the end of the comic, like, go to this link to purchase the rest of this comic. Like, that's what it felt like. It was just cut so short. And then there were some that just, I read it and go, what? That didn't make any sense. And then there was just some that I guess kind of made sense, but they were just so weird. I didn't see what the point was. Like, there was this comic about how, like, skinning a fox and, like, the steps on skinning a fox. So I'm like, why? How? I don't get it. To be fair, that one was a little hard to read as well because the writing for that was in cursive, and I can't read cursive very well. There were maybe one or two that I liked. There was one kind of about a conversation about the difference between artificially made produce versus actually made produce, like it's in this sci-fi type setting, and I thought that was interesting actually, but there weren't too many other than that I liked. So I think if some of them had a bit more time, like maybe even just a page for some of them, and I think it could have been wrapped up a little better, and maybe they are supposed to just be cut off and you fill in the blanks, but for me these didn't feel like, hey, think about what the ending means yourself, and they just felt like, oops, I ran out of time and I forgot a page. That's the feeling that they gave instead. So I didn't really like this collection of comics. The last book that I read for June was Death March to the Parallel World Rhapsody, Volume 11 by Hiro Ainana. Obviously, I like the series, otherwise I wouldn't be at Volume 11. This was a fairly good one. This is definitely not one of the best volumes in the series. It is definitely more of a fluffy one. I'm not going to go over to the whole plot of this because it's of the 11th volume. But in here, the main crew is in Labyrinth City, and they're kind of taking it easy a little bit, but there's some problems in behind the scenes where kids are getting beat up, and there's still some problems in here with this demony potion that kind of messes with people. I don't remember exactly what the thing was called. And they do a lot of helping out kids and generally being cool. They have a few good fights in here, but it's mostly a chill volume. And I like those kind of volumes. I mean, I like most of the volumes in this series. And yeah, there's not much to explain. I still really like Death March, and I am looking forward to the 12th volume. I don't remember when that's coming out. November? It's either November this year or sometime next year. I don't remember, but I always look forward to these. Those are all the books that I read in June. Let me know if you have read any of these and your thoughts on them. I would like to know. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again in another video. Bye!